Morning, everybody. It is January 27th, 8:26 a.m. Good morning. Let's look at this watch list real quick. TNX is up, VIX is up, crude is up 1.2%, dollar is slightly up. The Dow is pretty much flat. Russell down 0.27, ES down 0.35, NQ down 0.55. And let's see what else. Bitcoin's down 0.88. Let's see, silver, never mind. Tesla still looking nice after the good earnings. It's up 1.08%. That is definitely relative strength because the market is down. Let's look at the laggards. We're looking at Snow, Nvidia, and AMD. AMD and Nvidia are weak because Intel gave very bad earnings, very weak. So that's going to make chips fall. Semi is going to get weak. Okay, Visa had earnings and Chevron had earnings. So Visa's up 1.11 and Chevron is down 1.22%. Sector-wise, really the weaknesses in the semis, technology, no really leader besides crude. Doesn't always have to connect with energy. There's a disconnect sometimes. We have important news coming out. We have core PCE month over month, year over year. PCE, personal spending. At 10 a.m., I would not be in a day trade because we have Michigan consumer expectations, Michigan consumer sentiment, pending home sales. Okay, so that is coming out in about less than 2 minutes. All right, so I could jet over very quickly because we'll want to see what happens in this market with the PCE. That's what the Fed really likes to look at. We can look at SPY daily chart. Here's my anchor VWAP. Look what that hit yesterday. It hit the anchor VWAP from the all-time highs. Hit it right to the tick. Hit it right there. So around 405. Let's see, the high of yesterday was 404.92. Now, so very interesting, right? And then, so that hit that VWAP from the all-time highs. Now, Qs hit the 200-day moving average. They hit the 200-day moving average. And a big resistance of 293. So, have to see if we can come over this VWAP and the Qs hitting the 200-day moving average. Let's look at this. News is going to pop in about 10 seconds. So let's see if this moves the market at all. Expecting core to be 4.4 year over year. All right, let's see. This has not updated yet. Come on. All right, here we go. Okay. So as expected, forecast was 4.4, came in at 4.4 for the PCE. The month over month 0.3, got 0.3. Personal spending looked like a negative 0.1. It went a negative 0.2. So spending went down month over month. Market's not seeming to care that much about this. You can see here nothing crazy going on with this because it's as expected. So Okay, we could move on. Hit you with the watch list while I can go back into this. And we kind of covered what I wanted to cover, kind of very obvious levels that we're at in the SPY and the Qs. Okay, so this VWAP and the 200-day moving average in the Qs could be a little bit of a problem. Now, if you notice in the SPY chart, we have a next level that most people expect us to get to is 410. Okay, I have a butterfly trade in the SPX I put on yesterday, and I am selling credits against it to I want to get my debit down to zero. Seeing that Qs hit the 200-day moving average, that could cause a problem. But you can see the top of this range is 410, right? But look at the Qs. The Qs is a little different story, because the Qs has now reached 200-day moving average, and it reached the top of this range. Does it just blow past here, or does it balance a little bit and then move higher, right? Or it could fall back, at a critical juncture here with the Qs. All right, let's look at that triple headed monster. We got the TNX is rising today. Interesting, right? TNX is rising. What is the VIX doing? The VIX is also closed down here. It's up a little bit. All right, but we're still down in the 18 range. Okay, so dollar still down here at this support here at 101. Just hanging out, right? Hanging out. All right, let's look at the Dow really quick. Dow still above 200-day moving average, trending back up. Consolidated, broke out. A lot of volume up in here. Let's just checking the Russell. Russell also at the top of a range. Very key resistance area. Okay, so the Russell and the Nasdaq kind of are at a resistance area. Okay, and real quickly, let's look at that Q's anchored VWAPs to see where they're at. So 306. So the top of this range is the anchored VWAP from the all-time highs in the Qs. So we need to move up to here. Remember, ES is farther along than the Qs. Have to see. Okay, so let's go to the futures. Hit you with your watch list for 1 second, and let's go to the futures. We'll go over yesterday. Now, get my trusted marker. Okay. Now we're getting this profile starting to get some excess now. Remember I said yesterday, before that happened, the session, we had kind of a flattish top here now in the composite profile, kind of getting more excess, right? Looking more like a bell curve. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. Just means that less and less people are trading up at these highs. Okay. Now, of course, in my pre-market video, just to illustrate this in a little more zoomed in way, there's a poor low here, right, that was put in. Look where it was put in. Remember I said yesterday in the video, one of the things I'm most interested in is if this held the most traded price of the week, you probably wanted to go long, and that was the low. That was the low. And then we went all the way up. So again, I'll reiterate, this level doesn't mean the level makes it move. It just means that this was the fairest price of the last week. And there's just a lot of transactions that happened here, and this is just how it works. I mean, I can't tell you why this zone, all the time works like that. I mean, it also, you could look at it, it was the overnight high, the overnight low here, but it just works. Okay, doesn't mean the market moved because of my level. It just means that's why I put these on my chart, right? So I want to point that out. Now look what we have here. This is a very, very perfect profile in the overnight. I mean, look at that. That is like picture perfect profile. That's equal distribution. Okay, so overnight high, overnight low, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Okay, we're inside yesterday's range. Yeah, but now, very interesting at this profile. We have basically a poor high. See, what's cool about my indicator, it tells me poor low, which is here, weak high. And the weak high, I consider this still poor as well. Literally double topped at the top of the profile, top of this profile. So what that means is, usually, not all the time, not right away, but usually they call it repairing a poor high. So usually you expect the market to come back up here and push through that, break this poor high. Same with the poor low. There's going to be a time where we come down here and we break the poor low. So let's get back to what I was saying. So right now, this is bullish, okay, because we made higher prices. We're above the most traded price of the week, the most traded price of the month. Okay, as long as we're above those, that is bullish in macro. Doesn't mean intraday. In the macro theme, if you stay above these levels, we're gonna move higher. Okay, because what needs to happen now is, let's say we just balance today, and we do this. We do this. And what's gonna happen is, if this can build enough volume that it shifts this higher, then we'll create another volume here. And if we hold above it, we probably could move higher. Have to see. But this is not giving any indication. It's just a perfect profile, okay? One thing to note, it's 100% net short. Okay, so everybody, this is where we opened, and look where was the low. So everybody is short, but however, that's not into play right now because we're almost back. So these shorts have already taken profit. So that's not an edge at all. That's gone now. Okay. Another thing to note, this is all little nuances of market profile. So see this 45-degree line here? That means shorts were not getting paid. As people were shorting, they were just not getting paid. Okay? That 45-degree line, that's what that usually means in a profile. They're just not getting paid. I can break this out here. Let's see here. Yeah. So here you can see the one time framing, the higher lows, but this just happened. But in the profile world, because the last period we came down here, so how much does it gleam off of this? Okay, Now, one important level for today is this level here. So we have a little bit of a weak low here, meaning the most traded price of yesterday is here. Overnight low is here. Okay. If we come down and we break this level, we might be heading down towards the most traded price of the week. So I'm going to be looking for this if there's weakness. If there's weakness. Now, look, we have a huge supply zone above us. Okay. So this already hit the supply yesterday. And we also have a naked VPOC here, which is the most traded price of the past that has not been touched. Okay. So this is what's above us. We have supply up here. So today might be tough going into the supply zone. Doesn't mean we can't hold up in here and then eventually move higher. Remember, Qs are at the 200-day moving average. The SPY is at the anchor VWAP. So we have to see. All right. Now we're going to look at the Qs. All right, so let's look at the Qs. Notice the same thing happened in the Qs that I just was pointing out. Now the Qs have a more of a completed profile. Okay. You can see it here. It has more excess than the ES does, and then look at that. That's more of a completed profile. Less and less people are trading up here. Okay. So you need to start just building value out here. So another lesson for you guys that want to know about profile is that most traded price of the week is here, right? So just like in the ES, we need to build out volume here. Okay. In order to we want to move higher. If you can't do this, I didn't speak about this before. If you can't move this here, right? What's going to happen is the market tends to go back to prior value, so it's going to come back down. And like just like yesterday, see, even the Nasdaq came down to the most traded price of the week. It tested it to go higher, right? But it needs to build value out higher. Okay. It also can keep moving higher like this, build excess up like this, but then that's like you're going higher and higher and higher and less volume getting traded. You're gonna eventually come back. Okay. It's like gravity. Throw a ball up higher, 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 it's gonna eventually come back. So that's how you have to look at these levels. So we've got an overnight high and low here. We have yesterday's high here, yesterday's low here. We're in the middle of the range. It doesn't give us a lot of edge. Okay. Now, overnight low is here. We have demand zone here. However, the most traded price of the day of yesterday was here. So I showed you that in the ES. ES has a better setup because it's closer to the overnight low. But this is a line in the sand for today. You don't want to go below here because you probably will go back here to the most traded price. So kind of want to see us in the short term hold above this level. You know, maybe even come up, hit this demand zone to make a leg higher. But in the futures, the 200 days here, but the SPY already hit it. It didn't hit it in the futures yet. So we have to see. Okay, let's move over to the hourly charts. Very compressed range too from the overnight. Very compressed. Relative volume. I can show you guys. I used to show that, but I don't show that a lot as much. Relative volume in the Nasdaq, and the you can see here for the overnight, and this is a 5-minute bars for volume. It just tells me right here with this number the relative volume of the last. I think I have it set for 20 days. So right now, crude is see the crude's at 105% of its relative volume, so that's good. The Nasdaq and the ES are only 74 and 84% of the relative volume, so it's a little bit lower volume than we've been getting. It's also Friday, but just something to note. Alright, let's look at this. This isn't really telling us much, and I'll only point out a couple things. Will be this big wedge that, look, all this resistance is still, it popped its head above here, but look, it still went under it. So it's right here. That's the top of that wedge. Okay, and you only really have the support of 40.57, which is basically the overnight low. So I'm going to show you guys that what you need to look for in the market profile, and really the only thing that I'll be paying attention to, not the only thing, but is this level 40.57. Now I just want to show you why that is important, just like in the ES. 40.57 support. Okay, now we found buyers off it again. All right, now we have this wedge up here, we have supply up here, naked VPOC up here. Now this is the most traded price of yesterday. Now you see how the overnight low, which is around 45.57, and you can see this support. Now you also see this is the most traded price of yesterday. So if the most volume traded yesterday was here, and we have support right now here, if we break under this level, that's going to be a lot of longs get hurt, and we could return to the most traded price of the week, which is around 40.27. That's why that's important. Okay, now let's look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq doesn't have a pretty of a setup like that, as close together, right? And the wedge is also showing its place here. So I got to keep this eye on this wedge, because look at this from back here. Resistance, 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 resistance again yesterday. Double top right here, right? And the futures 200-day moving average is right here. Okay, now that's not as pretty setup, but 120.18 is a support, also a demand zone. See, this is being held here, this support, right? And the most traded price of the Nasdaq yesterday was here. So it's not as close together. I don't like it as much as I did the ES. Okay, but that's also, you break this, you will probably go here and then possibly go down to 119.07, which is the most traded price of the week. Okay, remember this wedge, you can see the movement, right? I'm going to show you really quickly just in this wedge of how it's been moving. So basically it's been moving like this. Okay, it's come up, it's come, hit its head against it, came down to the bottom of this wedge, came in the middle, went to the top of it, went all the way back to the bottom of it, went all the way back to the top of it. Now just how the pattern's been going, we could hit the 200-day moving average and hit it and try to go higher, and then it could be the next leg where we go like this or this. I don't know. Doesn't mean that has to happen, but that's been the pattern. Okay, all right, let's go over quickly to the market profile. I don't even need to probably expound on much of what I said, because it's going to be the same scenarios, but we can still go to it. So let's go to this here. Let's make this bigger so I can just show what I'm talking about in this little area. Let's go. You can really see. Okay. Let's really quickly. Got a balance profile. Okay, I already talked about that already. Don't need to talk about that again. So now you know my levels and what I'm looking at. So let's go for the bear. Okay, I could see us right. This is I can't got a lot of reading to hear this, you know. So we can move up, go into supply, but if we come down, right, and we hit this, take out this support, and then we have the most traded price of yesterday, and we hold, punch, come down, and we have some weakness in the market, we're probably going back here. Most traded price of the week, 40.29. Okay, I think it's tough sledding a little bit for the long today, but we definitely could do it. There's no doubt, right? This market could do anything. So I could also see opening, coming down here, finding support, breaking that poor high of yesterday, and then we'd probably chunge, that's not even a word, probably slowly melt up. Okay. Always door number 3 is this good old balance. And that could be, like I said, pulling the most traded price of the week up. So it doesn't matter if we go higher or lower. If we shoot up high, shoot up low, as long as we start creating volume up here, we could balance today. Hopefully move this up to go higher. Okay, that's what I see there. Same scenarios in the Nasdaq. Come up here, break this demand, take out the overnight low, then you have the most traded price of yesterday, and we could go back to the most traded price of the week around 1907. Okay, that definitely could happen. Further weakness, further fall, but I'm just saying that would be a trade. Okay, and then you can go for the bull. We could also do this, but hold this, then move higher, take out. This has kind of a poorish high. Go for that 200-day moving average and see how high we can take it. And then, like I was just saying earlier in the ES, most traded price of the week is down here now. You know, maybe we do this, come in, do this, come in, but then we basically do this, and we could possibly bring this higher. So I need to see like really strength, and I need a big pullback for me to think long. For me to really think long, so that's what I'm looking at for today. That's gonna be it for me. Hope everybody has a good weekend. Hope everybody stays green. Give me a comment, give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Share with anybody who had that you feel that this would help. And wishing everybody good trading. And I'll see you guys on Monday.